It's an alarming statistic. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 20 boys report experiencing sexual abuse before the age of 18. It's a heavy topic for sure, and you've seen it take center stage in the national conversation. So how do you discuss openly with your kids? Joining us now on How to Get Talkin' is country star and parent herself, Jana Kramer, who has partnered with the Committee for Children to help address the topic of sexual abuse. Jana, good morning to you, hon.
Hey, good morning, JJ.
This is a heavy topic, like we mentioned at the top, but it's something that is extremely important that we talk about and we communicate with our kids about. You have done so with your young child, I hear.
I have, yeah, and you know, that's the thing, like in the beginning, it is that kind of uncomfortable, heavy conversation, but it doesn't have to be. But, you know, for me, it really was when, you know, my daughter, she's 3.5, and she asked me a question, and I was just like, about a specific body part, and I didn't know how to talk to her. I really didn't. And you know, that's why I'm like, this has been like the most organic partnership I've ever had, because I was like, oh, I needed this like a couple weeks ago when my daughter asked me, and I had no idea, and I kind of made a silly nickname for it. And you know, I talked to my husband later on that night, and I was like, I really don't think I handled it properly, because I'm like, but she needs to know, and I'm like, but I don't, like, how do I say it? And so literally, like a few weeks later, the hot chocolate talk, I found out about that with Committee for Children, and you know, it's a place, it's basically a guide for, you know, families on how to talk to their children about child's sexual abuse, and you know, touching and private body parts, and just, you know, making it a very, I think that's, you know, why they do the hot chocolate too, because it needs to be like an inviting environment, and a place where, you know, a kid can ask questions and you guys can be open. And the great thing too about it is there's, on the website, like you can pick, you know, like if your child's under 5, then this is how you talk to them. If your child's, you know, 6 to 8, like this is how you talk to them. Because obviously you're going to talk to a 10-year-old different than you're going to talk to a 3.5-year-old.
Absolutely.
So I think they've done a great job with all the research they've done and figuring how to talk to, you know, your child at the age that they are. And that's been so huge for us. So, you know, when she turns 6, I'm going to be like, all right, next step. Now let's see like how I'm supposed to talk to her now. So,
absolutely.
But again, it's about just not having it one time too, because that's the thing. My 3.5-year-old, like, it's not just like, oh, I talked to her once about, you know, touching and no one else should touch, but you know, she needs to rehear this conversation and to have that often conversation with her, an open
Certainly.
Conversation.
And as your daughter grows, as any child grows, they enter into new experiences and new relationships with people, and so new situations come about. So it's so important to continue to talk to your kids about these things. So you have partnered with the Committee for Children. You've done a PSA. You're inviting people to go to the website to help get more familiar with the topic and how to go about addressing it. You know, Jen, it's interesting. So with the recent documentaries have gotten a lot of attention, and people are talking a lot more. Leaving Neverland and Surviving R. Kelly. A lot of people just can't understand how the parents did not protect their children in those real life stories. Where do you fall in line with talking to other people's children about abuse, or if you know you're concerned about a situation with a child that's not your own? That's a very difficult situation.
I mean, that's a really tricky one. I would always encourage the child to talk to the parent. You know, if I ever saw something that was not right, I would, of course, me personally, like I would always present that to the parent, knowing that I might get backlash, but also I think it's, you know, if I want to be the eyes for other parents as well. You know, but, you know, the world's a scary place, but, you know, again, like talking about it doesn't have to be.
Yep.
And I think, you know, a scary statistic with that is, you know, 90% of child abuse victims know their abuser. And I think, you know, that goes along with, you know, some of these documentaries and just, you know, other stories that, you know, are out there that these victims know their abuser. And I think that's, the parents just need to be, not helicopter parents, but they need to be aware, and they need to be aware of the relationships that your children have with people, whether it being a coach or a family member, and a safe place for your child to come to you and talk to you about it. And they should know what's right or wrong with the conversations that you've previously had with them about things that you've learned from the Hot Chocolate Talk. So I think that's where it's important to be able to have those conversations, because your child might trust someone close to them, and it might be wrong. And especially if they didn't have that conversation before, you're just getting into scary territory.
Gianna, thank you so much for sharing today.
Of course.
Yes, thank you so much. Learn more about the Hot Chocolate Talk and how to talk to your kids about sexual abuse. Visit the website right there on your screen. Committee for Children is a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.